We respectfully request the Sangha great virtues for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us out and birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tận tình, vì thứ pháp hội cập nhật thiết chúng sanh, thính chuyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã mùng, như há liêu sanh thoát tư lý khổ đạc lạc, tất chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Namo Saranto Suchero Ye Olahudi San Miao San Puto Se. Namo Tathata Toya Daja La De Tamil Tambo Da Toa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma, 100,000 million aeons, is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu sheng 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 wei miao fa bai jian wan jie nan zao yu, wo jin jian wen de shou qi, yuan jie ru lai zhe shi yi. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Great Master Huineng, Great Master YongHua, all good monks and nuns, and all good no advisors, Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨尽量师父六祖师父上人各位善知识为出家人各位善知識阿彌陀佛. Chư Phật Bồ Tát kính thưa lục tổ Thượng Thiên Hóa, quý thầy cô và các vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone, today is the 17th of December 2022. Thank you for coming to our discussion, second discussion of the 6th Patriarch Sutra. We're going over some of the slides, some of the chapters for the second time to cover more grounds. Right now we're on chapter 3, slide number 31. It's about doubts and questions. So this is where people have a chance to ask the 6th Patriarch questions. In particular, these people are actually kind of privileged because actually it's the Prime Minister or the Governor of the state that was able to ask him questions directly. All right, so he's explaining the magistrate way, was asking about merit and virtue. How come the Emperor Wu of the Yang Dynasty gave so much of triple jewel, supported so much, and yet Bodhidharma, Great Master Bodhidharma said there's no merit and virtue. What is the story behind it? And the 6th Patriarch said, basically, merit and virtue cannot be found from outside external things. Merit and virtues can only be found through the functioning of your self-nature. Okay, and he elaborated on that. So his text, to continue, this text says, the false and untrue self-nature is without virtue. There is me and mine, and there is a big ego that constantly slights others.
是即自无德，唯无我自大，常轻一切故。
Okay, I started looking at this slide tonight, and I had a problem with the translation here. Okay, so let's go through translation and make the corrections as necessary. Okay, it says 知性虚妄无实, so it should be. You see, they go. It's not always advisable to move the order of the teaching of the words spoken, because it creates stress. When the master Huineng said certain ways, things certain ways, it's for emphasis, I found. So it says, according to Chinese, 自性 is a self-nature. Okay, so you say, the self-nature. Okay, 虚妄 is false. It's empty and false. Okay. Sorry. The self-nature, when empty and see, this is where these his disciples don't get what the master is explaining to them. So that's why it's important for us to go over this a second time to explain to you, English-speaking people, so that we understand it better than the Chinese. The Chinese still don't get it because the Chinese is too concise, too condensed. Then self-nature, when empty and false, empty, false, is not real. Shu here is not real. Okay. I forgot what the original English translation is, but it's incorrect. It says the self-nature, when empty and false, is not real. Therefore, is without virtue. Okay. 即无德. I don't know why this is okay. There is me. Wu De. This should be cut up here. Okay. And where were we? 唯无我自大. Okay. So the first section is that 唯无我自大. So it creates me, mine, and a big ego. Constantly, constantly sliding others, sliding all others. Okay, that's how I would translate it in English for you. Okay, I think Korean Vietnamese are a little bit more concise, more in line with the Chinese, original Chinese. So I think most of the translation is okay. If they stick to the old, try to do one-to-one translation from Chinese to Korean or Chinese to English. However, if you don't do that, then you better follow our English translation. Okay, it's more accurate. All right. Yes, 6.
Thank you, Master. Only a small suggestion from a readability standpoint. Perhaps it could read, the self-nature when empty and false is not real, and therefore it is without virtue. But that could be my interpretation.
When empty and false is not real. Karma, and therefore
it is without virtue?
We want to try to be as use a few words as possible. In a Chan spirit, we use as the minimal amount of words necessary to convey the teaching. Chan teaching is very punchy. Okay, you hit it on the nose. You don't beat around the bush. So minimize the vocabulary used. Simplify it. Okay. Okay. He creates me and mine and a big ego, constantly sliding all others. Okay, so could you, if you could, change the prior, the prior slide for future reference as well, and let's go through this. This is an important distinction that we cannot blame his disciples for not being able to understand this. This is way beyond their depth. Yes, DTT.
Master, what does it mean by the self-nature being false?
See, precisely. That's why we have to explain it to you. Okay? And there's no way they could possibly translate this. Anyone else has any other questions? The self-nature, yes, 4.
Mô Phật và Thầy, nhưng dường đỡ đế ông làm như ông làm tạo những cái đó, ông là không có cái công đức, rồi ông có cái phước đức có dẫn ông đi dẫn sanh không Thầy?
Emitofuo, Master. So this Liang Wu Di, the Emperor Liang of the Wu dynasty, the Emperor Wu of the Liang dynasty, he does not create merit and virtue. However, he creates the blessing. Does that blessing allow him to go to the Pure Land?
If he created Pure Land blessings, he might be able to. But at the time, he did not create Pure Land blessings. Therefore, he had a lot of difficulties getting rebirth of the Pure Land. That's number one. Number two, even though you have a lot of Pure Land blessings, what's going to happen to you at the time of death is that you have some obstructions that will prevent you from going to the Pure Land. Okay? So that's why in the Pure Land Dharma door, we have both, meaning that you create rebirth blessings first, preferably, okay, so that you have more chances to go to the Pure Land. Number two, during the 49-day, you will have a 49-day help so that the obstruction during the 49-day will be resolved so that you can go to the Pure Land. Okay, and I don't want to mention names. Okay, and don't get and because I don't want to offend his disciples. There is a monk who's a big name monk who teaches Pure Land. So I look at him. I said, yes, he's able to go to the Pure Land. He has the Buddha recitation samadhi already. Okay, I can tell. So he can go to the Pure Land, but at the end of his life, okay, during a 49-day period, there's a monk who says, I have a problem with you going to the Pure Land because you are messing up all the Pure Land Dharma here in our world. You don't deserve to go to the Pure Land. Okay, and that's an obstruction right there. At the end, he didn't go to the Pure Land. See, it's amazing how much is not spoken, how much the Dharma is not spoken for you. It's not like it's like it's no exceptions at all. It's just always exceptions to the rules. Okay, and that's the way it is. So that's why the opposite is that he created tremendous blessings. He had the samadhi, but he may not go right now because during the 49-day period, the obstructions came that's a lot heavier than his blessings are capable of overcoming. Does it make sense to you? So you have to be very careful, very humble. Don't ever assume anything. Don't take anything for granted until it happens. It's fascinating to me when that happened. Okay? Yes, you have 4.
Mô Phật và Thầy, con muốn kể một câu chuyện này đó. Mà tại vì Thầy nói có một đêm Thầy nói tu Thầy nhiều, hành Thầy ít. Thì con tự nhiên đó, nghe một cái tiếng đó mà đêm thứ 8 á, con đã không có ngủ nữa. Tự nhiên hiện lên một cái cảnh con nghĩ là rất là hy hữu vậy. Hiện một cái cảnh mà sao mà nói về Tây Phương Cực Lạc thì con chưa biết đi thì không biết. Thì nó hiện lên một cái cảnh đó. Nhiều người ta đi Tây Phương lắm. Hằng hà sa số đi Tây Phương. Mà đi Tây Phương đó, những cái hoa sen đó nó không có hào quang mà nó tối thui à. Cái con nhìn khe xa thêm một bước nữa thì có nhiều cái hoa sen đó, xanh, đỏ, trắng, màu, đủ thứ màu ở trên nó hào hoa tua tủa. Thì con nhìn chỗ đó thôi. Tới đi nhìn thêm một cái nữa là có 1-2 cái hoa sen rất là bự. Thì có 1-2 cái giống 2-3 cái gì thôi. Mà cái đó không biết là tại vì con chưa biết đi Tây Phương là con thấy như vậy, thấy cái cảnh như vậy đó, Mô Phật.
Emitofuo, Master, I would like to recounter to you a story. Is that there was one night you say that a lot of people who cultivate but actually does not practice. So naturally, somehow things happen. I've heard of that sentence on the 8th day of my fasting. So in the afternoon, I did not take a nap. So naturally, somehow at night, there was a state that I encounter is that it's very inconceivable. I don't know what Western Bliss Pure Land looked like. However, in my state, I saw that I walked into this place and there was a lot of people going to the Pure Land, but their flower doesn't emit light. It's just dark. And then I walked a little bit further. I saw a lot of lotus flower with blue, red, and white color with a lot of light emitting from them. And then walking a little bit further, I saw there was 3 big lotus. So I don't know what Pure Land, Western Bliss Pure Land looked like, but however, this is the state that I encounter, Emitofuo.
What you you have put all your expectations into rebirth of the Pure Land at this stage of your life. That's a very, very wise thing to do. And it's probably part of the encouragement that you're able to have such a vision. It's probably about the beings in Wan Yin's palace, where they are waiting for a long, long time. They have to wait for a long, long time before they're able to join the General Assembly to practice under Amitabha Buddha. Okay, it's at least they're there. They don't have to suffer like they'll be in the hells right now. They're supposed to go to the hells, but they could have the option. They're given the option to go to Wan Yin's palace, more or less, the Pure Land hell, the Pure Land jail, if you will, not hell, but jail, so that they won't create more suffering here in the world. Okay, so they don't have the same rights as the rest of the Pure Land inhabitants. Okay, it's something that you should be careful about. Okay, you could go to the Pure Land, but if you're not careful, you could land in jail. Still better than going to the hells here, but there's a danger there as well. Okay. Anyone else? Yes, 3.
이변 최규양님 질문입니다. 살아있을 때 왕생 위패를 올렸는데 죽었을 때 가족들이 깜빡하고 49제 신청을 안 해도 극락에 갈 수 있나요?
While I arrive, I request pre-49 days. But my family forgot to request 49-day service. In that case, can I go to the Pure Land?
Come again?
I request, for example, I request pre-49-day service while I'm living, but my family forgot to request 49 after I die. Then can I go to the Pure Land?
Not 49 day, it's rebirth block.
Okay. Rebirth of the Pure Land has 2 aspects. Number 1, whether you have the blessings to go to the Pure Land, okay, rebirth blessings. And number 2, whether you're able to resolve the obstructions for rebirth. So in general, if you request a rebirth, then there are very strong chances that you will go to the Pure Land. Okay, very good chances. However, if you want to make sure, you can do the pre-49 day as well to make sure that you can resolve the obstructions during the 49 day. As per the story I just told you, it's fascinating to me. It happened recently only. That's why I found out. Okay, that nothing is guaranteed in life. And therefore, you should do everything possible to maximize your chances of rebirth. Okay, don't take chances. So the general answer is yes, you should be able to. But if you want to even increase improve your odds of making it to the Pure Land, I would also do pre-49 day as well, if possible. Okay, or you feel that it's too much for you, then you should switch to pre-49 day. Since it's our fault, we didn't explain it to you properly. Now it's very clear to me that we need to to explain that to you. Honestly, before I figured that even if we generate a lot of blessings for you, in the end, the blessing will overwhelm the obstructions, but it's not always the case. Okay. All right. So, yes, 4.
Mô Phật và Thầy, con thấy những cái hoa sen đó tối mà rất là buồn bã mà không có hào quang đó, những cái đó là chắc không có cái phước, không có cái tạo cái phước, phải không Thầy?
Emitofuo Master, I saw those flowers. It's very dark. It's very sad and depressed. Doesn't emit any light. So those lotus flower, is that the case that they did not create blessing?
They are most likely the flowers, lotus flowers of those who are in Wanyin Palace. They're not quite official residents of the Pure Land yet. Okay, they're waiting to join the population. They don't have the full rights. All right. Let's go back to slide 32. It says here, the self-nature, when empty and false, is not real. Okay, again, I don't expect my YongHua disciples to be able to understand this. That's why it's important for us to translate this to English for you. Okay, what does it mean? The self-nature here refers to our Buddha nature. In our Buddha nature, when it goes through a person like Malcolm, for example, it is empty and false. Meaning that for an ordinary person, our Buddha nature manifests through you, then that you is actually empty and false. And therefore, it's not real. Okay, it's not true, it's not real. Real here refers to real marks. It's not true. Shu here is real marks. Okay, Shu Xiang. So therefore, it is not real mark, if you will. Okay, and so that means that whatever the Buddha nature manifests in each and every one of our bodies, okay, is empty and false. Wake up to that. Don't be so attached to whatever you have right now. Because what you have right now, okay, is empty and false. You don't have to understand it. Just believe it's empty and false. And therefore, it's not the real you, not the real being that you are capable of being. Okay? And therefore, when you are empty and false, you cannot possibly have any virtues. If you're empty and false, you cannot create merit and virtue. He's talking from a purist perspective. Okay, what you do is of very little value, in other words. Don't think so highly of yourself. And he continued, because when your nature is empty and false, okay, and then he says, how can you tell? Because empty and false, it creates a me and mind. Do you have a me and mind right now? Yes? Okay. You have a me and mind, then you're not real. Yeah? And you have a big ego. Yes? Everyone? Okay? You see how clear it is? The teaching is very clear. He doesn't mince words. He says, even you, magistrate, wait. Okay? Do you realize your self-nature, when empty and false like you body right now, is actually not real, and therefore you are without virtue. That's what he's saying. Remember, the intercalator was the magistrate Wei, who's asking him questions. He's a big shot. You see that? He says, you are empty and false. And therefore, you have no virtue. If he dare say that the magistrate, wait, what do you think? You any better? It's kind of cool, a message. Yeah, and you can tell that it's empty and false, it's not real, it's without virtue, because when it's like that, it creates a me and mine and a big ego. Me, 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 me. That's us. Constantly sliding all others. 一切 is all others. No one as good as we are. It's not for you to explain yourself. It's not up for discussion. When you listen to this, you ask yourself, is it me or not? Is that how I function? Is that how I am? There's no but, there's no if. Do you have a me in mind? Do you have an ego? You feel like you're the king, the queen. Anyone? Okay? Do you think you're better than others? The other is not as good as you are. Yeah? Hong, you have something to say?
Master, it's very interesting today that I pick up Kan and Ying Yi, and I did not say anything. When I pick up Kan just tell me, you think you're better than others? And then when I pick up Ying Yi, without saying anything, Ying Yi asked me interpretation in English. What does it mean when the water flowing down? It's always flowing down. Therefore, being a human, do not slide others. She just tell me that, and then I felt like it's preparation for today's lecture.
Who is the second person again?
Ying Yi, cô anh.
Oh, yeah, okay. The one who struggles with walking. I see. Okay, got that? Isn't it beautiful? This is a punch to the gut. Ask yourself. Look into yourself. Is this you or not? And this is what I love about the 6th Patriarch. He doesn't mince words. He says, you're very special, but guess what? You are without virtue. 33. Good knowing advisors, thought after thought without interruption is merit. And the mind practicing equality and directness is virtue. Self-cultivation of one's nature is merit, and self-cultivation of the body is virtue.
是功， 心行平直是德，自修性是功，自修身是德。
Okay, I think you missed out on the first couple of phrases. 善知识，念念无间是功。Okay. 34, commentary. Good known advisors. He says, all of you. Thought after thought without interruption is merit. And the mind practicing equality and directness is virtue. So he's elaborating more on those aspects, the difference between merit and virtue. Okay? He says, when you have a thought after thought without interruption, that is merit. Okay, what does it mean? It means that, for example, you recite the Buddha's name, Emitofuo, Emitofuo, Emitofuo. If between Emitofuo, each Emitofuo, each name, if no thought arises, that means without interruption. Because what happened to you, to us, is that Emitofuo, even before we finish Emitofuo, we have an interruption already. Yeah? That's us, right? That's why we don't have any merit. We have to keep on reciting Buddha's name, okay? Don't say, I've been reciting Buddha's name all day. How come I'm not reborn to the Pure Land yet? I don't have blessings to go to the Pure Land yet. It's because you are reciting with interruptions. Therefore, you have very little merit. You have merit, but you have not as many as you think. So far, so good. And the mind practicing equality and directness is virtue. Think about it. Does virtue cost anything? No. Virtue here is when your mind is impartial and straightforward. That is virtue. What does it mean? Would you like a translation of this into everyday English? Huh? Wow, I'm glad somebody said yes. What does it mean? It means that you need thought after thought without interruption means that you need to keep on practicing, reciting Buddha's name, reciting mantras, okay, meditating, and become single-minded. Yes? Single-minded is without interruption. Does it help? So that's why for us, in Chan, it's about single-mindedness. Reciting Buddha's name, same thing, single-mindedness. It's not about mindfulness. It's not about smiling. Huh? Because smiling has absolutely zero merit. Mindfulness doesn't do anything. If you want to create blessing and go to the Pure Land, you recite the Buddha's name, it has to be without interruptions. Is it clear? Does anyone has any doubt about this? I want you to understand this so that when you listen to the other instructions, you have to be clear. This is the 6th Patriarch's instructions, not mine. Okay? That's what he says. You want to create merit to go to the Pure Land. You need to create blessings to go to the Pure Land. Okay? This is what you have to do. This is why people who recite the Buddha's name for their entire lives, for decades, don't get to go to the Pure Land because they're doing it wrong. They're not creating enough merit. Is that clear? Same thing. If you go and practice meditation and all you do is smile and sleep and be happy and look for bliss, anyone? You go to meditation, I want to feel good. I'm not feeling good today. I have a bad session, chant session now, today. That's without merit. Yes, 4.
Mô Phật và Thầy, mấy câu này rất là khó, rất là khó. Bây giờ mình không có tin tưởng của mình nhờ cái tha lực có thể được đi giảng sanh không Thầy?
Emitofuo Master, this phrase that you just been spoken is very difficult to do it on our own. So is it the case that we can use other people's help to be able to go to the Pure Land?
Yes, you can. And this is a difference between the Pure Land Dharma door and the Chan Dharma door. The Pure Land Dharma door, the Chan Dharma door requires you to be single-minded in order to become enlightened. But if you cannot become single-minded, you can use the Pure Land Dharma door. You can use others' help in order to attain rebirth to the Pure Land. Because you cannot depend on your Chan teacher to become enlightened. He cannot become enlightened for you. He can only show you how to become enlightened. Whereas in the Pure Land Dharma door, you can depend on your good no advisor to attain rebirth to the Pure Land. Hopefully. Yes, 7.
Thank you, Master. I have a question regarding the English translation. 心行平直. And the translation says the mind practicing equality and directness. Do you think ping, it's better to be translated into evenness? Because it means just flat. Equality is less appropriate.
Equanimity is better than equality.
Okay, thank you.
But I can settle with equality because I don't want to overdo it. They did a great job helping us, bringing us into the general area, okay? And this is good enough. Equality is close enough. A much more precise word would be equanimity, okay? No distinction. Equality is observed outside. Equanimity is inside. In my interpretation, my own mind, equanimity is I inside of me. I don't see any distinction. Equality is you can see equality. Okay, you can see I treat her the same way, but you cannot see that I do not have equanimity. It's only an act. You understand? So in your point, maybe we should change it to equanimity is better, okay? And we can change it if you wish, but that's a good point. To me, I don't want to overdo it because it's close enough, okay? But a better thing would be equanimity. Inside of you, you should have no high or low, no yellow or white, no short or tall, okay? No rich or poor. Okay, that's equanimity. Only inside of you. No one else has to know. You know, no one else. Whether you inside you have equanimity, but outside you are treating, oh, you're so special. Oh, go away. That kind of thing is okay because all he matters to him is that I have equanimity in my mind. What happens outside is not that important. Yes, 6.
Thank you, Master. I would like to humbly submit one pale-face vote for equanimity.
Okay, we can fix it. Equanimity is better. It's a good point.
It feels less political and more ideal.
Okay, good point. Okay, yes, agree. 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's go to DTT first, and then we can go to 8.
Master, I had a question. The slide says thought after thought. Does that mean that it could be any thought, or does it have to be specifically like the mantra or bodhisattva's name? Like, what's the difference between thought and false thought?
Thought here is when you practice. It refers to when you practice. When you practice a Dharma door, let's say that's when you do a Huatou, when you recite the Buddha's name. Okay, you strike up one thought, Emitofuo, and then Emitofuo again. Okay, it's only Emitofuo, nothing else. That's thought after thought, if you will. All right, same thing. Who's reciting Buddha's name? You only have who's reciting Buddha's name and nothing else. That's thought after thought without interruption. Is it clear? Okay.
So it wouldn't be just any thought. It has to be like a Dharma door. It could not.
Yeah,
be
when you're practicing, when you're cultivating, when you are practicing your Dharma door, it should be single-minded. That's why the word I use. Single-minded, only one mind, one thought, no interruption, nothing else. All right, 8.
Master, 2 questions. First one is, in your commentary, you have equanimity and straightforwardness. So for directness, can we change that to straightforwardness? For 知.
知 is straightforward, which is better than directness. Okay, again, straightforward to me is inside. Directness is observed outside. You could change it as well, you like, but then, then we're coming across as criticizing, being too overly critical. Okay. Straightforwardness. Okay, are we all happy now? Number 2. I want you to know that I started with reading this English version. It helped me tremendously. Yes, there's a section here that I didn't understand. But overall, you look at the whole overall translation, it's far superior to any other English translation. So it has to be given credit properly. Okay, we are, really picking it apart, but it's in general, it's very well done. Much better. You see how difficult it is for the scholars to understand the Chan language, and they did a good job conveying the general teaching. It's just when it gets down to these distinction, they don't quite get it because they don't understand the Chinese themselves. Yes, 8.
Thought after thought without interruption. For example, lay people or those who have to work, they don't have time all day, 24 hours to recite thought after thought. For 24 hours, can they focus like shorter increments, like 30 minutes first and then 1 hour and build it up?
Very good. That's what I was getting at. This thing here, thought after thought without interruption, is merit. The mind practicing equanimity and straightforwardness is virtue. How do you translate that into practice. Okay? He means here, it's very important for you to understand this. This is a very important distinction, and most people don't understand, especially scholars, especially people who are bookworms. They only want to know, you know what merit is? Merit is thought after thought without interruption. For them, it's just a concept. But when the master said this, how do we create merit then? This is what we ask ourselves, right? Because that's the very kind of question that you should ask. I cannot do this all day, so what do I do? And this is where we need to explain it to you. If you're able to recite the Buddha's name or mantra or meditate, and you go into that very short time span when you have thought after thought, there's no interruption. Emitofuo, 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 right there. Okay? When we recite fast, Emitofuo, Emitofuo, Emitofuo. If you can do that without any thought in between, you're creating merit. And that's the advantage of practicing with someone, because if they can do it, then it's easy for you to go to follow them. You see that? Okay? And every time you're able to have one thought after one thought without interruption, you're creating merit. How's that? Thank you. I'm getting used to you being ingrates. Okay. Jane, did you have a question, comment?
Yeah, my comment is the fact is I personally felt we are not picking on the earlier interpreters, and we as the people who learned this decades later, for the people who are bilingual, so it's almost our duty to help the English-speaking people to get a closer, feel of the original teaching. So to me, it's naturally I read Chinese first, and then I look at the English. I realize there's a difference, and how it hits my mind. So that was the reason, yesterday and today I brought this up. It's almost paying homage and salute to the people who are the trailblazer who did the translation ahead of us. Very respectfully.
Yes. It turns out the Chinese language tends to be more abstract, and therefore it really has a drawback for beginners like us, low level like us. I struggle with this personally. I read this and I don't know what they're talking about. So basically, if you don't understand the Chinese teaching, then you basically take it as an intellectual thing. It's just some words you regurgitate, that's all. So that's why it's so important for us to translate and even add more details to clarify the meaning right now in English, because it helps us. And then eventually in the future, if you're able to get beyond this and continue your practice, you understand when you get to a higher level that actually is more to this. Okay, so to me, I prefer that for you, especially for Buddhist disciples nowadays, they should be studying the English first and the Chinese later. for all of them, including Chinese people, Vietnamese, Koreans, okay? Because the English, the way we explain it to you, is more helpful towards you breaking through than the Chinese. The Chinese is applicable for both low level like you and higher level as well. Okay, question from Jewel Conk.
Hello, Master, I have a question. When we are not enlightened and when we are not reciting the Buddha's name or meditate, can we still create merits?
Repeat the question.
So according to this slides, and then your prior explanation, without the time when we are reciting the Buddha's name, and also when we are not enlightened, how can we create the merit?
Right there, Emitofuo, Emitofuo. Between two Emitofuo, there's no interruption and you're creating merit.
When we are not reciting the Buddha's name, meaning like when we are working or like cooking or talking to other people, something like that.
Then you can recite the Buddha's name. During those times you cannot, and you cannot. But when you cultivate, this is how you create merit. I don't understand the question. When you work, you better work. You should make sure you earn your pay. How can you work and then create merit at the same time? The priority should be on working, not on creating merit. And that's what you do. You should be fired. Yes, the lady in front here. I don't have the number. Number 9.
생각을 이어가려고 하지만 잘 안 되는 때가 더 많습니다. 그러면 잘 안 되더라도 오랜 시간 계속 하게 되면 그게 공덕이 돼서 언젠가는 잘 될 수 있는 것인지요? 아니면 그냥 짧은 시간을 집중적으로 하는 게 더 효과가 있는 건지 질문드립니다.
It's very difficult to make thought, do thought after thought without interruption. So is it better to do long time, recite long time? Then can I get better in future? Or is it better to recite for a short time?
Okay. What it's referring to is that when during your practice, let's say reciting Buddha's name, Emitofuo, Emitofuo, all you have to do between two Emitofuo to have no interruption, then you're creating merit according to the 6th Patriarch's teaching. If you recite the mantra, you do that one line after one. Okay, you recite without any interruption. Every single time you're able to do that, okay, then you're creating merit. That's all. So the question is, the more often you can do that, the more merit you'll create naturally. So if you get to the point where the longer you recite, naturally your false thought will die down, then you create even more merit and virtue as you recite longer. All right. 8.
Master, please don't be upset. I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly, but I feel that if you...
I'm upset already.
You said that you're picking apart the words, But I feel that if you're nice about it and you change it, for example, if it was me, I wouldn't be so upset. But if you're saying like I'm stupid and I don't know what I'm talking about, and then you correct me, I think it's the screaming or whatever that affects me more than you changing the words. Is that true?
I don't know what you're talking about. Next. Yes, 6.
Thank you, Venerable, for setting me up for this. Thank you, Master. I have a thought about Venerable Shannon's question about how you can create merit when you're needing to do other things and the ideal options you've presented so far aren't readily available. You could press the like button on each Dharma Talk YouTube video, because when you do that, you help the YouTube algorithm share the Dharma and have other people encounter the Dharma, which generates blessings. I feel that could be a meritorious deed.
No. No! No, this is not in the context here. There's a wrong context, darn it. Yes, 3.
Master, if you're reciting the Buddha's name and you go into samadhi, do you continue to accrue merit?
You have a lot of merit because you enter samadhi, is no more interruptions. How's that? See, good question. You become single-minded, okay, Emitofuo, and then you enter samadhi, everything blanks out. All that remains is what? A blank. That's lots of merit. No more interruption whatsoever. Yes? 2.
Master, it's worth mentioning at this point, a long time ago you said that to have a mala and use the mala seemingly to count, but I don't count. It's used as part of my hand use while I'm reciting, so I'm not necessarily counting, and I seem to be able to keep any intrusive thoughts to a very minimum.
That is okay. No, let me rephrase it. That's very nice. Anyone else? Yes, 2.
Master, every night I recite the Buddha's name 10 times and in the morning 10 times. So is this merit or merit for Buddhism?
Is there any interruptions between the 10 times?
Just the numbers.
So, Emitofuo 1, Emitofuo 2, is that how you do it?
It's Namo Amitabha Buddha 1, Namo Amitabha Buddha 2.
No, don't do 1. Just Emitofuo, Namo Emitofuo, Emitofuo, Namo Emitofuo. You don't even have to do Namo.
Oh, I've been doing that for like a year and a half.
Now you do it better. Emitofuo, shorten it. It's easier. You have 2 less to worry about. Namo, something would go in between Namo, okay? So only do Emitofuo. Does it help? Does it make sense? You have Namo, you have 2 more words that could.
That's 8 syllables, right? Namo Amitabha Buddha, 8. That's 8 different syllables.
It's easier to do Chinese. You want to do American English is okay, but it's too long. Don't be so pale-faced. Why, find the shortest way, the punchiest way, which minimizes the interruptions. Okay? You want to recite Namo Amitabha Buddha, that works too, but it's harder than to do Emitofuo. Yes, 6.
Thank you, Master. We have multiple YouTube questions. I'd like to express my gratitude for our YouTube audience watching from wherever they are in the Saha world. We currently have nearly or a little bit over 50 people watching worldwide. First question from Apple. When we take different Venerables mantra classes online, is it better to recite in mind than to recite aloud, or it depends on different mantras or conditions? Thank you, Master.
When you recite with others, you do what all the others are doing. Okay, just follow along. Don't discriminate. Okay?
Okay, second question from Cordelia Lee. Master, when I work, I listen to your recitation on my earphones. Every time I have a few minutes of downtime, I recite with you, then work some. I switch back to work. Would this be okay? Emitofuo.
Absolutely is okay. The same thing, a similar vein of the previous question from Jewel Kong. It says, how come when I'm at work, how can I create merit and virtue? Because I don't have a whole lot of time. I don't understand the question. Because how long does it take you to recite Emitofuo? As I'm talking to you, I can recite Emitofuo as well between sentences. Go first, and we come back to the YouTube questions. Are there still YouTube questions? Go first, go ahead.
Hello, Master. Sorry to ask you this question because I don't understand what is the Buddhist meaning of merit, and I still don't comprehend why exactly we need it. What would it help for us to have great merit as something that's beneficial for us on our way of cultivating?
Okay, very good. You should feel free to ask questions anytime. Okay, if you don't understand, ask questions. Perfectly okay. It may sound a little bit stupid, but it's okay. We all have to go through this. I don't always have to insult you, but just kidding. This is the advantage. This is the advantage of our system. I do this, I insist on this on purpose, because you should feel free to ask questions. Whatever crosses your mind, there's no stupid questions until I say it's stupid. Okay? All right. So what is merit and virtue? Merit and virtue is a Buddhist terminology. Merit, as by definition of the Chinese, typically Master YongHua teaches merit is something that you do that benefits others. Okay? For example, you have merit when you build a bridge. You have merit when you try to help people cross the street. Okay, everything you do to help others is merit. And this is what we Buddhists pride ourselves on doing. We want to create merit. So the Buddhist faithful are taught to go create merit by going to the temple and help out in the kitchen, clean the bathroom, make a donation, and so forth. Drive the Sangha to see a doctor and so forth. All those are in helping others, you are creating merit. So far, so good? No, so that's what the general teaching for all the monks are like that. That's you create merit by helping others. Master Hui Neng here is discussing merit at a much more advanced level. Merit here to him is, by definition, arises from the self-nature. When you merit whatever you do, this is not just, which is a good question, even though it sounds stupid at first. Actually, it's a very, very good question. So don't ever be afraid to ask. The worst could happen, I will call you stupid. Doesn't mean I'm right, okay? If you're entitled to ask, I'm entitled to say anything I feel like. It's a two-way street, all right? So the nice thing about this is that the Master says, what about you create merit by being single-minded? Okay, so that applies too to not just cultivation. Okay, if you want to help, someone, and that thought of help right there, and you say, and say, I want to help you, let's say, take some pills because you're old and you need to take some pills for your high blood pressure. And that thought right there, and you maintain that thought, and you pick up the pill, you say, I want to help you, take your medication so that you get better and you have a good health and so forth. You maintain that thought without thinking, and second thought coming in like, I hope that when you die, you leave me some money. Does it happen to any of you? I'm guilty. You know what I mean? So, and I was making fun of Sienna a little bit earlier. I said, what are you doing? You're working. What are you doing? You're supposed to be working. Work. Don't try to recite the Buddha's name. Okay? When you help people, don't say I'm helping you, and in doing I'm helping you, I'm not creating merit. No, actually, what he's talking about, if you had one thought, the next thought, you maintain that thought without any interruption, you're creating merit. Similarly, okay, if you have the thought, I want to help you take your medication, so I'm going to take this. So my concentration on you to take your high blood pressure medication without any interruption, you're creating merit yourself. Okay? Yes, 6.
Thank you, Master. So if I have the thought, I'm going to like the YouTube video, and then I click the button, and I do it without interruption, and then I like the video, and I like the video, and I like the video, am I creating merit?
You like what?
Well, ideally, like, subscribe, and click the bell notification to be made aware when the next Dharma talk goes live. But if all of those things or any of them without interruption.
Let's try this. Let's all do that for a moment. Okay, that's a good idea. That's it for the heck of a try. Yes, 3 in the back.
Thank you, Master. So is it better to reside in a Buddha hall with others to build with others to build more merit, or is it better to recite without interruption whenever we can?
It only matters when you recite without interruption. Okay? According to him. I have another question for you along the line of the stupid question from Go Force. Yes, too.
Master, can we put that in the Dharma names?
Whatever you like to do. I open my mouth, you choose whatever you want to put it in there. Let's keep the two separate. Go Force.
Is this just saying that enter samadhi is creating merits, so the mind after mind without interruption is just enter samadhi, and then the reciting Buddha's name or mantras are easier ways to enter samadhi?
Yes, along that line, yes. Okay. Now the question I have for you. Anyone ready? Anyone has any more questions? Anyone? Okay, I want to give you a chance first before I ask mine, because I don't think you'll be able to ask this. Three.
Hello. Thank you, Master. Yeah. 请问是谁在念阿弥陀佛？阿弥陀佛是谁在念的？念的是谁的？请问？
Okay, he is asking Master who is reciting Emitofuo? Who is reciting that Emitofuo?
Okay, since he asked, okay, he's reciting the Amitabha's name. Okay, easy answer. Yes, go forth. Ask all your questions before I ask mine. No? Okay, JMT. Yeah, lots of questions tonight.
도우려고 의도는 했는데 오히려 이렇게 스님들을 더 번거롭게 한다던가 그렇게 결과가 좋지 않았을 때도 그게 공이 되는지.
질문을 처음부터 다시 한번 해주시겠어요? 처음엔 소리가 안 들렸습니다.
네. 다시 할게요. 도우려고 의도를 했는데 오히려 스님들을 더 번거롭게 하는 것도 공이 되는지. 그러니까 의도는 좋은데 결과가 좋지 않을 경우도 공이 되는지.
I'm trying to help people, but I made a trouble. And the result is not good. In that case, is it become merit?
스님, 좀 추가적으로, 그러니까 지혜가 부족하다 보니까 길게 봤을 때 오히려 마스터지를 더 번거롭게 만들더라고요. 그래서 조금 도우려고 하는 것들이 좀 주저가 되더라고요.
Let me give you an analogy. Suppose you go to see your doctor and ask the doctor to cut off a rotten leg. And he cuts off more than a rotten leg. He cuts off also your arm. Does he have any merit? Okay. Yes, is the JMT still has a question, or are you out of questions? She still has a question. Go ahead.
그리고 승가를 도우라고 했는데 자세히 좀 지켜보니까 오히려 마스터지를 더 번거롭게 해드리니까 도와드리는 게 조금 주저가 되더라고요. 저는.
Master told me to help Sangha. So I'm trying to help Sangha, but I realized that I made a trouble and to Master Ji, so I'm hesitate to help Sangha.
Okay, good luck to you. JC.
아미타포 사부님 마스터.
Yes.
심액평직 직 고든 마음 스트라이포워드니스에 대한 질문을 드리겠습니다. 때로는 이제 동양 그 교육에 많이 길들여져 있다 보니까 스트라이포워드니스 직 고든 마음을 행하면 이 사람이 뭐 상처받으면 어떡하지? 뭐 이렇게 생각을 할 때가 있고 혹은 때로는 상황에 따라서 이제 뭐 직장이든 가정이든 이제 화이트 라이트 큰 대의를 위해서 뭐 곧게 바로 직접적으로 얘기하는 게 아니라 애둘러서 얘기해야 될 상황이 있습니다. 그래서 이런 상황에 따라서 이제 시적절하게 스트레이트포워드니스 직을 어떻게 활용을 해야 될지 좀 여쭙고 싶습니다.
I'd like to ask you about the straightforward mind. Sometimes I'm afraid that I hurt others' feeling if I say something straightforwardly. And also in the family and the work, sometimes it becomes some problems. So I want to ask you, when can I say straightforwardly? How can I use it?
Yes, that's a good question. You don't want to always be straightforward outwardly, but you should be straightforward inwardly. Meaning that your mind is straightforward, you think straightforward, but when you say things, it may not come out straightforward because you want to avoid creating offenses or hurting someone's feelings. Then in that case, if your mind is straightforward, you're still straightforward. This is based on the 6th Patriarch's teaching. He says here, when the mind practices, meaning the mind is straightforward, okay? Practicing straightforward is virtue. Practicing here refers to, it's not blindly. It's not like, I'm straightforward, therefore I can give it to you. I can hurt your feelings. That's not being straightforward. That's being stupid. Okay? Someone complained earlier, how come, if you say it to me nicely, I can get it better. When you yell at me, I just get so, I get so uptight, I get so, afflicted. Oh, take it, idiot. Okay? You should be glad, that you are being yelled at instead of bitching and moaning. Go ahead, go for us.
Beautiful. My question is, when I chant Emitofuo, I remember when I start, I chant it out loud, but when it get to a while, I just chant it in my head, even when I do chore around the house. And I did it until I fell asleep. And first thought, when I wake up in the morning, I remember in my mind, it's just Emitofuo. Is it okay to do it like that, or verbally I have to say it out loud?
You don't have to say it out loud. When you're by yourself, you can do as you please, as the conditions call for. Okay? The recitation is not necessarily has to be by sound. For example, now when I recite a Buddha's name, I usually recite it silently because I don't want people to know I'm reciting a Buddha's name. People think I'm working, but I'm not. It looks cooler. Okay, JMT. See, and Jumi would never give up. She's like a dog who get a bite, who bit your legs, he would not let go.
죄송합니다. 제가
Yes, Master.
질문을 안 주었어요.
아니, 스님 할 수 있어요.
안 껐습니다.
스님 할수 있어. 예를 들어서 부모님이 돌아가셔서 49제를 하는데 이제 첫째는 JMT에서 하길 원하고 둘째는 송광사에서 하길 원하고 셋째는 교회에서 하길 원했을 때 각각 원하는 게 다 다를 경우 한 번에 세 군데서 해도 되는지 특히 우려가 되는 거는 송광사나 JMT에서 49제가 동시에 이루어져도 되는지 그것을 질문드립니다.
When my parents passed away and when we need to do 49-day service, the first child want to do service in JMT, and the second child want to do in the Songgwangsa, the one of the three treasure temple in Korea, and third child want to do service in the church. In that case, can we do the funeral, the 49 service at the same time in a different place? Especially, can you do 249 service in two different temples?
Yes, absolutely. The more the merrier. Even go to church, have the church do some sort of Christian 49 day as well. It's a good thing. Whatever you do that's meritorious, going to help. Okay. Anyone else? Yes, 8.
From Hefang, in the 6th Patriarch Sutra, there is also a word saying 见性是功，平等是德. Does it mean 见性, recognizing your true nature, is the state of thoughts after thoughts without interruption? Your true nature is having only one mind?
No, that's different. Okay, one thing at a time. What he's talking about here is different from 见性是功. That's different. Okay, it's from Dharma. He's referring to, in the context of merit and virtue, I'm very glad that someone asked the question of what is merit, and let me help you understand why it is important to me. Okay, and you should feel free to ask such questions. Okay, because it will give me a chance to explain to people at different times, different levels, so let me continue with that later. From JC, there's a question.
한국어 유튜브에 올라온 강민석 씨 질문입니다. 일전에 졸업에 관해 질문한 대학생입니다. 영화 선사님 안녕하세요. 저는 망상이 많고 혼자 방에서 영화 선사님께 불만을 많이 토로합니다. 그것 때문에 영화 선사님께서 화가 나셨는지 걱정됩니다. 제가 미숙해서 그런데 혹시 저 때문에 화나셨나요?
This question is from Kang Min-seok. He's a senior in the university. And I have many first thoughts. And in my room, I complain a lot to you. And I'm wondering whether you get angry because of that. Since I'm very immature, are you angry at me?
No. Because you're still young, I forgive you. Anyone else? It's so hard to be popular. I'm not used to this. Yes, 6.
Thank you, Master. We have multiple YouTube questions.
Yes.
From Sarah B. During the meditation, when you are in intensive pain, is that also creating merit? When
you have a thought of It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Okay? Is that merit?
If it's not interrupted, yes.
Exactly. Fascinating. Now you know why, how come we teach you to endure the pain? Because every time you do the pain, you're creating merit. It hurts, ouch! You're creating merit. How do you think you got into samadhi later? Because you're creating merit. If you weren't creating merit, there's no way for you to improve. QED, that's my proof. Beautiful, his teaching is so profound. Yes, next.
Thank you, Master. Apologies in advance to my Vietnamese Dharma brothers and sisters. I hope I get this right. From Toi Mai Nguyen. 50-50, okay.
Okay.
Do we only get merits when we recite Emitofuo single-minded? Can we recite any other Buddha names or words and still receive merits too?
Absolutely. You can recite Yao Shu Ru Lai in Vietnamese, in Sanskrit, whatever you're doing that's thought after thought without interruption, you're creating merit. So far, so good. Anything else?
That's it for YouTube right now. Thank you, Master.
Okay, very good. 8. There's lots of questions. You see how profound it is. It has multiple applications. We can spend a lot of time discussing this. The Patriarch's teaching is so profound. Yes, 8.
Master, during the morning recitation, we recite for an hour and a half, and everyone recites out loud, and people are telling me that their throats are hurting. Do you have instructions for them?
Keep reciting.
Out loud?
Yes.
Okay.
The consumption. Go ahead, JMT. Someone shows her what 32 is.
안녕하세요. 제가 성당회를 다닐 때 그 주의 기도를 하게 됐는데 1년 동안 큰 소리로 사람 없는 데 가서 큰 소리로 매일매일 많은 시간을 주의 기도를 하고 일할 때는 일하고 이제 3일씩 단식을 하면서 첫째 날하고 셋째 날은 거의 매일 24시간 주의 기도를 하고 둘째 날은 다리가 아파서 한 6시간쯤 쉬고 그렇게 한 3년쯤 됐을 때 주의 기도를 하지 않아도 이렇게 마음 안에서 저절로 주의 기도를 하고 있는 저를 발견을 했습니다. 되돌아보니까 그때는 그게 내가 입으로 하지 않아도 마음에서 저절로 이렇게 주의 기도가 되니까 너무 좋다. 그리고 밥을 먹거나 말을 하거나 다른 사람하고 이야기를 나누고 있을 때도 이렇게 주의 기도가 계속 됐는데 그 기간이 길게 가지 않겠다는 이제 생각을 하면서 뭔가를 더 해야 되는데 어떻게 하는지를 몰라서 그냥 그 상태가 유지가 되지 않았던 기억이 있습니다. 되돌아보면은 제가 그렇게 되려고 한 게 아니고 일할 때는 일하고 주의 기도를 할 때는 주의 기도를 하고 그렇게 하다 보니 어느 순간 그렇게 되었습니다. 그리고 이제 최근에 대비주를 하다가 잠이 들면 이렇게 잠에서 깰 무렵에 제가 대비주를 하는 게 아니고 어떤 때는 다주토를 하고 있고 어쩔 때는 능엄주를 하고 있고 이제 그런 일이 있었습니다. 그리고 이제 그때 예전에 그 기억을 되살아나서 이렇게 딱 연관이 되는 게 그 우리가 하는 보문품에 일념신무가해라는 말이 그게 일념신무가해겠구나 하는 생각이 들었습니다. 이게 맞는 건지 확인받고 싶습니다. 보문품의 일념신무가해 한 가지 생각이 있으면 모든 그 장애가 근심이 없다는 그런 뜻으로 저는 이해하고 있습니다.
In the past, when I went to the Catholic Church, I recite the Lord's Prayer. For the first year, for 1 year, I recited loudly when there's nobody around me. And every day, many hours, I recite the Lord's Prayer. And when I have to work, I work. But when I have time, I recite it. And one time I fast 3 days. And first day and third day, I recited almost 24 hours. And the second day, I take a rest for 6 hours. But rest of the time, I recite it. And I did it for 3 years. And one day, I recite it in my mind. Whenever I eat or whenever I talk, I recite it in my mind automatically. And I thought this didn't go last, but I don't know what to do to maintain it. And then recently I recite Great Compassion mantra, and then when I sleep, and then when I wake up, I found myself recite something else like a Shramgam mantra. And then I want to ask you, in the Fuming Ping, there is a phrase, single thought is unobstructed. Is it the same state, what I experience?
That simplifies, too complicated for you to try to understand, connect the sutra, the mantra recitation with what the sutra says. Basically, for you right now, just concentrate on thought after thought without interruption to create merit. Okay? That should be the practice. All right, JNT still has a question? Okay, no questions. So let's go back to the original question where what is this merit, what is this virtue? So at the superficial level, at the general level. Merit and virtues are the Buddhist concepts where you need to create merit and virtues in your spiritual practice. Merit is that you do something useful, you do something to help others, then you're creating merit. So when you do something to help others, it's visible, people can see it, such as explicit, obvious things. Virtues is something that is invisible. This is how we all learn starting out. Virtue is something that comes from your heart, okay, so it cannot be observed. So that's why when you do something good, it has two aspects, a visible aspect and an invisible aspect. The visible aspect is merit, because you see it's observable, it's useful to others. Virtue is that it comes from goodness in your heart, and it cannot be seen. You cannot simply do merit without virtue. Okay? And vice versa. They usually come in hand. Because, for example, in order for you to create merit, it comes from the desire to help others. The desire to help others is virtue right there. Is that clear? So merit and virtue is basically a distinction for the good deeds. In Buddhism, we break it down into merit and virtue. And furthermore, tonight, we're learning from the 6th Patriarch. He took it a step further. He says, I'm tired of you guys going to the temple and say you're creating merit and virtue and stuff like that. And you ask yourself, and you complain to the monks and nuns, that I've been coming to the temples. I've been giving the temple like Emperor Wu of the Liang dynasty. I gave the temple so much money. I helped so many people. How come I have no merit and virtue? Now, that's what the 6th Patriarch says. Bodhidharma says it has no merit, and because it's not done right. Okay? He says, in that context, let me explain to you why Emperor Wu of the Yang dynasty didn't create any merit. Because when he was doing it with thought after thought, with a lot of interruptions. Therefore, he had no merit at all. Okay, he's doing it for himself. He said, oh, I'm doing that. I'm so cool. I'm so important. Look at how grateful, how terrified they are of me. How grateful they are of me to give him food, to give him clothing, to give him a temple. Okay? So while doing the good deeds, the Emperor Wu of Liang dynasty were actually doing with scattered mind. Therefore, it's very little merit. Is that clear? So you can take it two levels. Typically, the monks, Dharma masters explain to you merit and virtue is meritorious deeds. Okay? You do something to help others. It's called merit and virtue for us. Okay? The 6th Patriarch here says, if you want to become enlightened, you want to take it to a step further. You cannot simply be attached to the externals now. When you help, okay, when you're low level, yes, it's important for you to help build bridges, to build hospitals, and sponsor schools, and help poor kids and so forth, and old people, and solitaries, and so forth. However, that's not enough for you to become enlightened. For you to become enlightened, you need to have the kind of merit and virtue that will be defined by him as thought after thought without interruption. Is that clear? So it's a good question. So you should feel free to ask questions, because unless you ask questions, I will not be able to address all your concerns. I will reconcile it for all your needs. When earlier, 10 years ago, I started teaching the same way as the Chinese masters. They said, merit and virtue, as I explained earlier, you do something good to help others. Now, in this context, the 6th Patriarch explained it as at the advanced level where you need this kind of merit in order to break through your mediocrity. How's that? For example, if the Emperor Wu of the Liang dynasty felt he created merit by building temples, by giving money, yes, he is. At the mediocre level, it will not help him become enlightened, will not help him get out of trouble, because it was only serving his ego. So in a way, there's a little bit of merit, there's a lot of merit and virtue, but at a shallow sense. At the stricter sense, if you were to create merit and virtue by doing it like the master 6th Patriarch teaches here, your merit and virtue will be far greater than the Emperor Wu of the Liang dynasty. And therefore, even though you don't have the same kind of money, you don't do the same kind of things the emperor did, you can still have a better chance to become enlightened. Is it clear? Does it help? Go ahead.
So much.
Go for it.
Yes, Master. Thank you so much.
Okay, so now that you have all asked your questions, let me ask you this. Can I? You have your chances. Now it's my turn. How about this? If he says, thought after the interruption is merit, right? I just explained to you that if you have thoughts of helping others and benefiting others, it's merit. What about evil thoughts? I want to harm you. I want to kill you. I want to really hurt you. Is it merit? Without any interruption whatsoever. Is it merit? Mama. Yes, too.
Master, it's creating offenses of the mind karma.
But he says without interruption. Huh? It says here, the Master, the great patriarch says thought after thought, without interruption. I want to kill you. I want to kill you. Yes, 6.
Thank you, Master. I'm gonna lob this one out there. Yes, you're creating merit and virtue, but not good merit.
No good merit and virtue. Let me tell you, what fascinates me is the beginning of James Bond movies. Let me relate back to you something that maybe some of you can connect with it. And you see someone walking into that lens, and and the blood spills. That's merit. Do you see the kind of concentration? And pull the trigger, that's total concentration, my friends. Agree? To me, that's the ultimate merit. Sorry, lots of kids here today, huh? We shouldn't. They know what I'm talking about? Go ahead, JMT.
안 들립니다.
Okay, drop JMT. Go Forest.
I think it's counted as creating merit, but it's the opposite of virtue. Like the it's the same offset of virtue.
So you're saying that it's merit without virtue. You're creating merit with the demons,
Actually,
but you're not creating virtue with the Buddhas.
yes, that's what I mean.
Yes.
Like if you create 2 merit, you lose 2 virtue.
Yeah, you create merit with the demons, but no virtue with the Buddhas. Yes, 3.
Thank you, Master. I was curious, single-mindedness without interruption, is that different than no thought?
Not quite. You have a thought after thought in single-mindedly, and then you enter samadhi. Okay, that's still without interruptions. Does it help? Yeah, one thought right there before you enter samadhi is no more interruption. Is still merit. Good point. Good question. Go for us. Okay, JMT, last chance. Okay, cut off JMT. You better go fast. We're not going to wait for you Koreans, slow Koreans.
저도 마스터와 같은 생각을 했습니다. 악한 생각, 한 생각을 계속하면은 그것도 일념인지 하고 최근에 생각을 했습니다. 근데 이제 그 생각조차 없어야 한다는 생각이 들었습니다.
I also had the same thought like Master. I wondered if I do single-minded evil thought, then is it become, if I think evil thoughts without interrupt, is it become single-minded? But I think I should drop that thought.
Okay, very good. I was joking. When you have evil thought after evil thought, that without interruption, that is no merit. Because the evil thought will do you no good. Only good thoughts, helpful thoughts, will create merit for you. If you have evil thoughts after evil thoughts, like some people I know, okay, who are no longer here, okay, they are without merit. Is it clear? Only the good thoughts arising from your nature will create merit for you. The evil thoughts will not create merit for you. So you better refrain yourself, okay? Because it's useless to have evil thoughts. No matter how justified you are, no matter how bad they are, how evil these people are, and the thoughts of evil thoughts of harming them, of hurting them, is absolutely brings you no merit at all, no virtue at all. Merit is based on the basis of aiding others, helping others, okay? Not helping yourself. Does it help? Okay. And the mind practicing equanimity and straightforwardness is virtue. Again, we talked about the practice itself, how to create merit, meaning that if in a short time span you're able to create a good thought, whether it's recite God's name, Jesus' name, okay, without interruption, that is merit. Is it clear? Excuse me. Well, of course, you have to be clear because you're creating merit, but it's not at the same level you will create. Let's say merit by reciting Buddha's name. Yes? It's a difference. Yes, in the back.
Master, I've recounted the story that you told us that Venerable Sheng Yen teach people to recite Coca-Cola. Thought after thought, were people to enter the Nin Nin Wu Chien Ne, do they create merit as well by reciting Coca-Cola?
If you ask me, I don't think it creates any merit because it only makes Warren Buffett richer. I mean, no merit in helping him become richer. And that, I think, is a shame. He invests in something called Coca-Cola, which is a poison to the world. I have no problem with you drinking Coca-Cola. I do. I like a Coca-Cola. No, I don't. Not anymore. Ever since I realized Buffett is the biggest, one of the bigger investors. Now I switched to Pepsi in public, only drink Coca-Cola in private. It's a compromise, okay? Criticize me all you want. But I feel that it's not right to benefit yourselves by hurting others. It's so wrong. It's so evil to me. When you know that it's harmful, you know it's no good, you don't need to make money off it. To me, it's ugly. Where's your sense of integrity? Don't you have any pride in yourself as a good person? Why would I, as a good person, need to make money by taking advantage of others' stupidity, others' weaknesses? To me, it is deplorable. Don't you have any integrity, any sense of right and wrong? Is money the only thing that matters in life? What kind of person are you? And when after he dies, I tell you what level he is. That's why I'm so critical of him. If it's a normal person like most of you, I wouldn't even bother. But for him, he's supposed to have wisdom. For him to do that is such a bad example for all of us. He should give me all his money, and I don't want your money. Maybe I give it to the old monk here. It's ugly. You don't do that. There's no merit if you recite Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is no good for the world. Okay, it's poison. It exploits our weakness, our human frailty. Yes, but I'm glad that we still have Coca-Cola every now and then in private. Yes, too.
Master, I worked for Coca-Cola for 7 years, so do I have to repay some more debts, some karmic debts for giving people diabetes, or is that paid off?
Well, you still have quite a ways to go. We all have our ways because I too like Coca-Cola. So I still am paying it off. It's called common retribution. Okay? We are interconnected in that sense. Okay? Yes, we should feel sorry that we're encouraging. Today I gave soju, some soft drink, knowing full well, actually it's a can of from Coca-Cola company, Sunkist. And I knew full well that I'm poisoning her. But, there's no merit in that. I did it because knowing full well I'm creating no merit whatsoever. Just want to be nice. And hoping that she'll forgive me after she becomes enlightened. Yes, JC.
아미타불 사부님. 시간이 좀 다 돼서 고민을 굉장히 많이 했는데 짧게 요약해서 말씀드리겠습니다. 그리고 지금 이 그 콘텍스트에 좀 들어맞는 그 경험이자 또 의문이라기보다는 그 나눔이 있어가지고요. 이 현지 스님한테는 예전에 좀 이제 털어놓으면서 이렇게 좀 말씀을 드렸는데 제가 꿈에서 이제 경계를 만났는데 가위를 눌렸습니다. 이제 가위를 눌려서 굉장히 세게 눌렸는데 아미타불을 연보를 했었는데 보통 아미타불 연보를 하면은 한 조금 있다가 이제 없어지거든요. 그게 걔가 이제 꿈에서 나온 경계가 이제 어떤 생명체가 이제 사라지는데 잘 안 사라져서 이제 나무 영화 선사님 이렇게 했습니다. 어느 날 그러니까 이게 한 번에 딱 실제로 꿈에서 경계가 사라졌습니다. 그래서 그 경험을 이제 나누고 싶은 게 첫 번째고요. 이것까지 일단 먼저 하겠습니다.
Master, I told this story to Master Ji before. One day I dreamed. In the dream, I couldn't move. Something is pushing me and not make me move. So I recite Emitofuo, and usually it disappeared if I recite it, but it didn't do well. So I recite Namo Master YongHua, and then it disappeared.
그리고 나서 이제 제가 이제 어떤 삶에서 경계가 오거나 짜증이 많이 나거나 해도 어떤 심한 이제 견딜 수 없는 이제 화가 그런 경우가 있을 때 관세음보살님 명호도 부르지만 이제 사실 나무영화 선사님 이런 식으로 좀 명호를 합니다. 그러면은 이게 제가 이제 신념이 이제 강해서 그런지 나무영화 선사님 명호를 하면 이 짜증이 있는 게 이제 제가 보통 쉐이킹을 잘 안 하는데 그때 이제 쉐이킹 막 하면서 어떤 그런 것들이 이제 우치 같은 것들이라고 그래야 되나? 그러다 에너지가 좀 금방 이제 떨어져 막 이제 쉐이킹이 되면서 떨어져 나가고 금방 이제 마음이 좀 이제 평온을 찾아지는 것을 경험을 했습니다. 그래서 그것을 좀 나누고 싶었고 사실은 솔직히 말씀드리면 지금은 이제 영화 선생님 할 때 그러니까 믿음이 강하거든요. 그래서 어떤 그런 믿음 때문에 어떤 일반 이제 어떤 불보살님들의 명호보다 제가 느껴지기에는 그렇게 좀 좋게 이제 느껴지는 건지도 좀 여쭈고 싶었습니다.
So whenever I got afflicted or when I got angry, sometimes I recite Namo Guanyin Busa, but I rather recite Namo Master YongHua, and I don't know it worked because my strong faith, but whenever I do it, my irritation disappeared, and I become calm again. So is it because I have a strong faith in you?
Thank you for telling us. All I can say is that I need to try it too. I never tried it before, so I can't comment on it. You guys are too much. Okay, thank you, everyone. I don't think we have time to finish the slide today. Let's come back next week and continue the discussion. Excellent discussion tonight. I am grateful for all your contribution. It's so fun. We all have our saying and feel free to speak our mind. Thank you. Good night.